This is apropos. Well, the motives behind the abductions remain unclear, but the women concerned are all from the same religious minority as ousted dictator Bashar al-Assad. Since the start of this year, dozens of Alawite women have disappeared under suspicious circumstances or been kidnapped from their homes by armed militants, spreading fear across the coastal population of Syria, as France 24's Jenna Lebras reports.
This man is still shaken. He says he has been receiving death threats for weeks now, but has decided to speak out about what happened to his sister. For his safety, he does so anonymously.
My sister used to take the minibus to work in Tartus and back every day, until the day she was kidnapped.
Like around 60 others, the young woman was kidnapped while she was on her way to the nearby city of Tartus.
People at the station saw her get off the bus and then she just disappeared. Around 2 p.m, my brother got a call from an Iraqi number. The man on the line said, "Don't look for your sister, don't ask about her, don't file a complaint. Your sister's with us. And if you try to look for her or ask questions, we'll send her back to you dead."
Paranoia is descending over this seaside town. Amidst the mass violence which Sunni rebels carried out against the Alawites along the Syrian coast this spring, women have been particularly vulnerable. Many of them no longer feel safe going out alone.
This whole kidnapping situation is worrying a lot of people. Every day, 2 to 3 women disappear. The victims come from all kinds of backgrounds. Married women, minors, university students, even schoolgirls. This should be taken seriously by all Syrians.
This young woman is now reunited with her mother. She and her sister are one of the 4 women who are known to have safely returned. Her captors, she says, were Sunni armed men driven by a lust for revenge against the Alawites. A concerning claim to the current government, since these men may very well belong to the radical fringes of a new military structure.
It's really not our fault at all. We have nothing to do with the old regime or any of that.
The mother continues the story. She says her daughters were released after 2 months in captivity, left on the street in the middle of the night, dressed in a niqab. Potentially out of fear or shame, the women insist they were not abused. But other survivors have spoken out about being humiliated, drugged, and beaten up.
They disappeared on March 23rd and came back on May 24th. My daughters told me that a car stopped them and asked them, "Are you Sunni or Alawite?" When they said Alawite, men got out with weapons, forced them into the car and took them away. When they got out, they were put in a basement and stayed there for several months.
These women probably escaped the worst. Some families have received proof their loved ones have been executed. So far, the authorities have not commented on the matter.
Let's bring in Kawa Hassan, non-resident fellow at the Middle East and North Africa programme at the Stimson Centre. Kawa, thanks so much for being with us on the programme. A difficult report there from our correspondent in Syria. Up to 60 women have disappeared since January from all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of ages. Why are these women being targeted, do you think? And where are they now, the ones who haven't been returned, the ones who haven't been killed?
Well, obviously they have been targeted for their, background, because they are Alawites, and for radical jihadi elements in the new Syrian government. For them, they are part of the former regime, which is not true. I mean, these are civilians who had nothing to do with the regime of Assad. They are Alawites, and that is the only, for them, the only problem. So this is basically, sectarianism on steroid, I would say. And the disturbing development is that so far the government, the new administration, as your report said, hasn't put out any public statements as to why they were kidnapped, killed, who are the perpetrators, because most of them are known actually, and armed militants, part of the security apparatus in Syria. But no official word so far about these sectarian attacks, killings, kidnapping. So it's indeed very disturbing, and it's also this week also we had two very disturbing incidents, one in Hama and one in Damascus, again involving Alawites, civilian Alawites who have nothing to do whatsoever with the former regime. So in Hama, 8 people were killed, 8 from Alawite background, and yesterday 5 young youngsters were killed in Damascus. Again, Alawites, they were working in a restaurant in Damascus, and they were taken by armed militants, and their bodies were found in a hospital. And so far, again, the government hasn't put out any statement as to why they were killed, why they were targeted because of their background, and when there is no public statement and there are no actions taken by government to ensure these people are held accountable, it's indeed very, very disturbing. Not only obviously for the Alawite community, but for the overall human rights situation in post-Assad Syria.
Yeah, and also reports suggest that often the women who are being abducted, it's happening during the day while they're going shopping, while they're going to work. Does that suggest to you that these kidnappers, these militants, are acting with impunity, with the tacit support perhaps even of authorities?
Well, I don't know whether they have tacit support of the authorities, but definitely, they do act with impunity. And the fact that so far no one has been arrested, so far no one has been held accountable. So that raises serious questions about the willingness and the readiness of the government to take actions against these sectarian crimes.
And this comes, as you say, we've seen recent incidents in the last few days. Even you mentioned the 8 people who were killed just yesterday. Also over 1,500 Alawites targeted in attacks earlier this year while the government was cracking down on pro-Assad militants. You've said that the slaughter of Alawites, it was a wake-up call for regional and international powers. You said that at the time. Has it been?
Well, not really. It has been a wake-up call, but I haven't seen any concerted action, pressure from key players, US, other countries who really have leverage with the new government to put pressure on the government and to make sure that those who committed these atrocities are brought to justice. As you may recall, the government has set up an official commission to ascertain what happened, who did what. So far, it's been more than 2 months. No official report has been issued, even though it doesn't need so much time to really conduct a fact-finding mission, because most of the perpetrators, they are known. They videoed their atrocities, and it's available for the commission to ascertain who did what. But no report has been issued. And when you don't have accountability for those horrible crimes committed in March, that basically gives these new atrocity, human rights violations we have spoken about yesterday and last week, and the kidnapping of these Alawites, girls. that is because there hasn't been any accountability for the atrocities committed in March. So yes, it has been a wake-up call, but I haven't really seen any tangible international action to put pressure on government to to bring those perpetrators to justice, unfortunately.
And what kind of pressure needs to be applied? We've seen the easing of sanctions by both the EU, also the US. We saw a very high-profile meeting between Syrian leaders and Donald Trump. So at this point, what needs to be done, and will it be done?
Well, I think what needs to be done is very clear. I mean, what needs to be done is that US, countries with leverage with their new government, they should publicly call on government to make sure that those who commit these atrocities, crimes, not only against Alawites but also against other groups, Druze or whoever, that in addition to lifting sanctions, which is really a very good step, and it's good for the Syrian people, definitely, and that should be applauded and commended, but only lifting sanctions without also calling on the government to respect human rights and to make sure that those who are responsible for previous and current human rights violations against Alawites, against Druze, against other groups, that they should be brought to justice. They should be held accountable, and basically what we need here is calls and actions by these governments to put pressure on the Syrian government to make sure that that perpetrators are held to account, and that Syrians, whether Alawites, Kurds, Druze, but also other Syrians, really feel that the new Syria is different from the Syria of Assad.
Kawa, we'll have to leave it there for now, but thanks so much for joining us on the programme. That is Kawa Hassan there from the Stimson Centre.